Hi, this is Patrick Lichty, Professor of Game Design and Animation at Zayed University. Then this is Animation Design 475 Game Design, and we are doing a text-based visual novel, choose your own adventure sort of thing. And we're now gone through where we have done our idea, come up with our gone from our idea, set up our decision tree, and now we're starting to make that decision tree do what we want. Technically speaking, what we've done is that we have used Twine or gone manually to make this thing, take an idea and then turn it into a set of decisions that has a beginning, has at least 4 ends, and has at least 4 sets of decisions. And a tree. And the thing is that the best ideas have maybe the idea of an early death, or the idea from a choice could unexpectedly and surprisingly take you from one part of the decision tree to another, leading to some surprise and interest in the game. So. Actually, if you were in our class and not just watching this on YouTube, we would have the decision tree, the idea map ready today. And then now what we're looking at ways how to make the Twine file do what we want. And Twine is actually a open source kind of visual novel sort of program that allows you to do interactive literature that you can, type things in and then create links, etc., to allow yourself to go to other pages or include media. And this is where we're starting to go right now. The one thing is that I'm using Twine for the most part as a way to organize our thought before we go into something else, because of the fact that making Twine into a visual novel engine requires a bit of code, mainly HTML, or a modified version of it. And since a lot of our students are mainly visual designers who usually aren't involved with a lot of code, I'm giving about 3 or 4 options on how to do this. Basically going in and authoring this directly within Twine. Another one is, well, let's just take a look at this. Twine actually generates HTML web code. And when you go out here, and if you see here, I have 3 of my stories. One is a piece that I'm working on currently called Confinement Spaces. Another one is just a demo for school. And the other one called The Eternal Awesome Story, which is kind of my first half of kind of my takeoff on the old game Zork. And if you look over on the right-hand side, you can see that you can import from files, archive them, formats, all these sorts of different things. We might do something with this a little bit later. This gear here, when you press it, and I'm going to have 3 tutorials that go along with this. One is going to be working in Twine. The other one is going to be taking Twine into Wix. Another one will be probably using XD. And actually, I might make a tutorial in RENPY. We'll see. I'm going to start on Wix, then do the other tutorial on Twine, and then we're just going to keep going. So anyway, these will be done within the week of this particular tutorial being done. So anyway, when I say 3 options, I'm going to say 4 in the next one here. Let's go. 4 possibilities. You can edit this thing within Twine, and I'll give you a link to the documentation to show you how to do linking to media within Twine itself, which I'll do a tutorial on in the middle of the week of the creation of this. particular tutorial. You could take Twine-based HTML and take it into an external editor like Dreamweaver. Unless you're an HTML coder, I'm not real comfortable with this just in the way that we've been teaching it in our particular program. But if you're comfortable with doing HTML and CSS work, great. You can rebuild it in Wix, Squarespace, without code. I'm not sure whether I'd recommend it in WordPress. But really all this is this is just a set of linked pages. This is hypertext. So it's basically any way that you want to make pretty much any set of linked pages, however you wish. This is actually a fairly straightforward process. The other one that I just thought of was using Adobe XD, and this is something that I use in my information design courses. Adobe XD is a relatively new program under the Adobe Creative Cloud that allows you to create interactive experiences like app prototypes. Actually, you can actually export an app prototype from Adobe XD if it's working as a real app. Pretty good. So anyway, we'll talk about that. And the other interesting thing about Adobe XD is that you can do edits on the fly while somebody is looking at your experience on their cell phone. That's really great. So anyway, I'll have another tutorial on that. So let's go forward. So inserting tags into Twine. Here's a link on that, and this will be within my Twine tutorial. And really, what you're looking at here is saying that within your Twine text, what you do is you need to do what they call linking to doing a relative web link to your site's, your images URL online. Or it has to be in the same directory that you're working on if you're going to insert it as part of the HTML. So I have placed the wiki here for you to go to, and then I'll put that also in the page in YouTube, and you can take a look at that. Type 1A. What you can do is actually you can encode your images so that you can just have them pasted into the code in your Twine, and they'll just come up through a little bit of sleight of hand. Here's a link of tells you how to do that. There's a online app that will encode your image or music into something that's some code that you can put right into your Twine. Third, if you want to go into Dreamweaver or some other HTML editor, go for it. As I said, that usually in your documents folder, Twine makes an HTML file that's fully editable, which is pretty cool. But that is probably the least intuitive way of editing this particular project, and as such, it's probably one that I'm not going to give a tutorial on. Basically, there are plenty of tutorials on how to edit HTML. So, in other words, if you see your page as HTML and you bring it into something like Dreamweaver and edit it the brute force way, you're probably know how to do it by that point. If not, follow along. So translating your text directly into something like Wix or without code, most of these platforms are pretty similar. Even though Twine makes HTML, we can just as easily take our Twine work into Wix by cutting and pasting and giving links. So here is the method that I recommend doing. I recommend that you look at your Twine decision tree. Go into Wix, make all your pages. Don't use a menu. This is not your normal. Website. Basically, this is a series of web pages that are going to be linked, that have media in them, and are going to do amazing things. So the thing is, make all your pages, cut and paste your stuff from Twine into your Wix pages, link them together. Start making them interesting. If you've been through my web design class, you already know how to do this. This is basically Project 4, just in a different fashion. Not a problem. XD. I really like Adobe XD, and to tell you the truth, for pretty much all my future classes in interactive design, this is probably going to be my tool of choice. It's probably best suited for doing app simulation, doing app prototypes, but it does just as well at doing a prototype for a web page or anything that's pretty much screen-based and interactive. The only issue with XD at times is to include video or anything like that. It requires plugins, and that just means it's a little extra work and something that isn't necessarily included immediately with the app, and you may have to go do a little research and find some things. For more beginner students, this might be a little bit difficult, but once you get the hang of it, it's not bad. So, as I said before, using XD is pretty cool because of the fact that you can put your XD experience, deploy it to the Creative Cloud, give somebody else a URL, comes up on their phone, and if you wanted to, they could be talking to you on your phone, and you could be out in XD with a live version that's going through the cloud. Change your type styles. Boom, comes up on their phone. Pretty amazing. Change your table layout, change your button style, whatever. It all just goes on the fly. Pretty great. So I really, for my students in game design who haven't been in my interactive design classes, this may be something that's really new for you. But those of you who have been in my interactive design classes or information design classes, doing app prototyping or new media, this is old news. But it's a pretty cool idea. I just thought about applying this to to this project, and then later on in the week that I've published this, you'll get a tutorial in doing that. So, next, for those of you who are in my game design class, these are the expectations right now. This is in fall of 2020, so the case study was done, and basically what we did is each student would take and analyze a text-based game, and then the next week you'd give out a 100 word description of your idea, and then what I say story map or structure. Oh, okay. I know where there was a little confusion. So anyway, we had students do decision trees for how you'd go through the project, and then in a couple weeks from now, after we go through all these tutorials and make our stories interesting, we're going to roll out our visual novels. Hopefully, that have some great graphics and good stories and a little bit of media and maybe some interaction, more interaction than that. And they're due on the 11th of November, basically 11 days from now. So that's that for this, and then I'll start giving out some tutorials on how to, and I'll probably make these on the fly, on how you can take a Twine file, and we'll first start out in going into Wix, which shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, anyway, thanks so much for being part of this first tutorial, and